They're
Oh.
coming to the memorial to see you.
Oh, to memorial.
Yes,
Students to
I
see
thought
you.
you said you're going.
And
Yeah.
then we're taking them to Poland.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
in Poland.
Okay?
Yeah.
Important.
Yes.
Gesundheit.
Yes. You have to be very careful in Poland.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And Jack, this is also my friend Jen. We're gonna be,
Okay,
I have
I'll
a
see.
book. I have a
Right.
Very nice to meet
Good.
you. Thank you for
Good to
making
see
the
you.
time to come here.
Yes.
I can't
Yes.
say that. I wanted to.
That's the leader.
When Hagit told
She
me,
is absolute. Yeah.
Yes, and she said, come to this temple and,
Yeah.
and to bring you. I
I
said,
s-
absolutely, thank you.
Yeah.
so thank you for your time.
That is my life.
But that's a choice,
Yes.
right? And you're
Yeah.
choosing to do it. So
Yeah.
that's really,
Yeah.
it means a lot.
Yes. It means more than a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you.
I'm so happy that
Thank
what
you.
you're doing.
Hello. Hi. I have a little bit of a cold.
Okay.
Rabbi Barras.
Rabbi Barras.
Hi, Rabbi.
He's the rabbi
Nice.
here that I told you, strong
Yeah.
supporter of Israel. I told you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming. What an honor to have you here.
I'm so happy to be here to talk to
It's a
you.
huge honor for us. I'm so glad that you're here.
Yeah.
Where do you live? Where in Miami do you live?
At,
Bell Harbor. Oh,
yeah.
nice area.
Yeah. I know very well Rabbi Lipskin.
Oh, sure. I don't know him so well, but I've met him a few times.
Yeah?
So, have you been here before?
No,
No.
not in this one.
Okay. Well, welcome.
Thank you so much.
So, well, we're so
Thank you.
happy that you're here.
Yeah.
Hagit is a good friend, and
Yeah.
honored that she brought you here.
Yeah.
So,
My family, it comes out to rabbis. Sure, my father was a shochet.
was it shochet?
Yeah.
Oh, from where? Are you going to tell us, I guess?
From Yedlinsk,
Okay.
from Poland.
Okay.
That's, he didn't survive.
No.
Nobody. survived.
My whole family was rabbis going back 2,000 years.
I know
Yeah.
that it probably, I don't know how long I got I know my grandfather was a rabbi. My great-grandfather was. They come in, all the rabbis.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I can't wait to hear your story. I'm sure you have a lot of questions after you speak.
Yeah.
So,
Any questions?
should we begin?
Yes.
Okay, you'll interview? I'll introduce you and then get out of the way. Hi everybody. Welcome. It's great to see you. We're in for a real treat and an incredible opportunity. So normally I just ramble on for like an hour or so, but today we have an extremely special guest. I'm very grateful to my friend Hagit Pfefferman, who is very active with a variety of organizations, including 3G and just 3G or 3G Miami.
3G Miami, which is now part of Holocaust Memorial Miami Beach.
So, and she told me the other day that she had a very special guest that we could potentially bring to Temple Beth Am. I said, so who? So, a Holocaust survivor who is 100 years old. I said, you had me, and I have a very special guest. So this is truly something very special. I've yet to hear Jack's story, so I'm very excited to hear it myself. um, to put it in context, why this is so important. I mean, we don't need to explain why this is so important, but when you consider that the week that we remember Kristallnacht, there was again another pogrom in the streets of Europe. There's no secret why we need to continue to hear these stories and to tell these stories. And I don't know how many more chances we're going to have with Holocaust survivors, but that's why 3G is so important, to continue to tell the story from generation to generation. So first off, thank you so much for being here. And now I'm going to turn it over to Chagit for the introductions and to run the program. So Chagit Pfefferman. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rabbi. I really appreciate it. I appreciate everybody who's here for coming to hear Jack. If you can't hear me, just flag and I'll bring the mic closer to my mouth. My husband's immunocompromised, so I need to wear a mask. If he's saying something that you don't understand, just raise your hand. I'll have him repeat it so it could be clear. And this can be like a conversation because this is a small enough group that we can have dialogue about what he's saying. I also want to say thank you to Jen because she really pushed for Jack to come here, and I really appreciate that. And I think, you know, we don't know how many, he's 100 years old, so we don't know how many more opportunities. Thank you, Rabbi, for bringing him on your Lunch and Learn. We don't know how many more opportunities he'll have to do something like this. So it really is meaningful. So please ask your questions. Please get anything you want clarified so that you can really have this opportunity. As Rabbi mentioned, I am a 3G Miami, and I wanted to ask, which is also being taken over by a group called Living Links. Is anyone here a second-generation Holocaust survivor? Or a third-generation Holocaust survivor? We have a few. Or fourth generation is probably in class right now. So I want to say that even if you're not a 3G or a 2G or a 4G, these stories are so important because this generation won't be around forever. And so I hope and encourage you, what you hear today, to repeat to others, to speak out, and to share this story and these testimonies. The hope is, I also work as a docent for Holocaust Memorial Miami Beach, and the hope is by having firsthand testimony, then the third generation and second generation testimony, we will be able to continue building empathy with the general community, general population. We want to build empathetic next generation, and we want to build up standards. We want to build people.
If you are this person, press 1. If this
Okay,
person
let
is
me
not
help him.
available, press 3.
It's a message, it's a message. Okay, so we want to build the next generation that they're not afraid to stand up. And I want to explain how I met Jack so you understand our connection. I'm a docent, as I mentioned, at Holocaust Memorial Miami Beach, and a friend of mine was helping people write memoirs. She's a person in this community named Bobby Kaufman, and she wanted me to read the memoirs she helped write of survivors, and the first one she gave me was Jack's, which on the invitation to this event, there's a link, and you can read his memoir yourself. And she said, I want you to read this one first because it's so unbelievable. But the title was Yitzhak's story. I didn't put together that Jack was Yitzhak. So when I was a docent and I was paired with him for the first time, I didn't put together that I had just read his memoir. He comes in, tells the story. I'm floored because I just read his memoir and couldn't believe it's the same story. So I knew this was meant to be, that I was going to be friends with him. And I know I'm turning 50 and he's 100, he's double my age. And I knew that this is a special kind of friendship. It was almost like bringing my grandparents back alive. He felt like family. So I continued talking with him, and I told him my grandmother's survival story, and he stopped me before I can even and he told me, my wife was in the same place. And then we realized that my grandmother and his wife were in Auschwitz together, were in Bergen-Belsen together, were in a sub-camp of Buchenwald together, and they were put, when they were being liquidated, their sub-camp, which was called Elsnig, they worked in the kitchen together, and when they were being liquidated at the end of the war, they were put on a train together, and on Hitler's birthday, that train that was supposed to take them to their death was bombed by the Americans. They miraculously survived that bombing, and that's how their liberation story began. And he told me when I showed him pictures of my grandparents that he remembered them. They were 10 years older than him and his wife, and he remembers them, and that he thinks his wife also stopped back when they were liberated to go see my grandmother again. So we really felt like family with our family connection like that, and it brought my grandmother alive again to me, and he was crying because he felt like his wife was alive again too. So I'm very, very connected to Jack. He's a very, very special part of my heart, and I'm so grateful that he's willing to do this. In Holocaust Memorial Miami Beach, to start each program, they ask us to read from this artistic book. So I'll read the first page. "6 million," and then it says 6 million numerically. This number is permanently etched into the Jewish consciousness. Say the number to anyone, and the immediate association will be the Holocaust. 6 million Jews were killed by the Nazis and their collaborators. There are museums like Yad Vashem. There are days like Yom HaShoah. There are special programs like this, lectures, films, pictures. Sometimes we need to focus our thoughts. This entire book contains only one word, Jew. It appears in 40 columns, on 120 lines, on every one of the 625 sheets. That's 1,250 pages. Each page has 4,800 Jews on it. There are 6 million Jews in this book. Flip through the pages. Choose one at random. Hold the book at arm's length. Notice how the words and columns seem to look like nothing more than a design. Then look closer. Focus on one Jew. Think of that word as one actual Jew, a relative perhaps, or a friend, maybe even yourself, a living, breathing person, murdered by the Nazis and their collaborators. Now choose a row at random, a whole family, parents and siblings, aunts and uncles, cousins, all gone. Look at another row. Maybe they represent your class at school, or a circle of friends and neighbors. A whole page might represent a beautiful Jewish community, somewhere in Europe, wiped out. This book contains the word Jew 6 million times, and every single one was someone. Men, women, and children, they are gone, but we remember them. And I know you're eating, but afterwards, I welcome everybody to look at the book, and it really does have 6 million Jews. You can look in when you're looking at the book, it'll say who designed it. And now, Jack Waxel, welcome.
I'm Jack Waxel. I'm a survivor. I survived the war. I want to bring you back a little bit about my parents, my father, and my mother, and my brother, and my 2 sisters.
Wait, Jack.
They did not survive.
And Jack, tell us, where were you born?
I was born in Jedlinsk, Poland, between Warsaw and Radom.
And this is a picture of Jack when he was younger. This is you.
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
what year were you born?
I was born in September the 24, 1924.
Okay. Now talk about your family again. Tell us about your father and mother. We have the
My-
pictures here.
My father was a shochet, was a reverend.
A shochet. What is a shochet? Explain to them.
A shochet means he slaughtered for kosher food.
So he was a kosher butcher.
Barn, chicken, everything else. My mother was a mother from 4 kids, and she was unbelievable, beautiful, nice, and that's how life we got. My father was Samuel, my mother was Pesa, my brother was Yechiel, and my sister was Yocheved, and my younger sister was Brocha. And we got such a beautiful life in Poland. My father, all of Friday night, was maybe about 15, 20 people from family coming around and have a Shabbos dinner. And that's how life was going on in Poland between the rest of 1937, the end of 1937 and 38, become anti-Semitism so bad that people was hardly afraid to go to the synagogue, to be beaten up. But we in Poland, we stand up. We always did not too much
Jack,
pay
let me
attention at the Polish people.
let me clarify. When you were saying that they were doing the Polish people were hard, or is this before the Holocaust started, before Germany invaded?
What'd you say?
Are you saying this is before Germany invaded? You had anti-Semitism. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, yeah.
So you're saying you faced anti-Semitism beforehand.
Anti-Semitism was before the war. When Hitler started to say before 48, and the people in Poland put on a loudspeaker in each city from Poland. When Hitler speaks, we're going to invade Poland, we're going to take over Poland. They already took over, put it close to Poland, and that's how life was going on. But we did not pay attention. We didn't know it, that Hitler is going to come in and kill people and make concentration camps.
Speaking
and
of
make-
not knowing, what happened when your father wanted to move to Palestine before it was invaded?
When my father got a chance to go away from Poland to Palestine, that's called now Israel, in the rabbis, what a rabbi means, it's not like a rabbi. It is a higher quality. A rabbi, he tells the people what to do. And the people, when they belong to this rabbi, that's how they was living the life.
So your father went to the rabbi. What did he say?
He went to the rabbi, and the rabbi said to him, you cannot go to Israel because it's not kosher enough.
So it wasn't kosher
So
enough.
he didn't went to Israel, and he didn't survive the war. And that's what happened to the Jewish people, a lot of Hasidic people. It was so many rabbis. It was Burke rabbi. It was Allah, Gera rabbis. It was unbelievable in Poland that the rabbis got so much influence at the Jews.
So
people.
Unfortunately, your father didn't leave.
Unfortunately, didn't survive.
So,
Got killed because of this.
so tell us about when the Germans invaded Poland.
Starting September in it was 39, when they come in to Yedlin, the Germans invaded Poland. When they invaded Poland, They come into our city, Yedlins. It took him 3 days or 5 days, mostly, when the war started.
3 to 5 days to take over.
After they threw a bomb, and they come into our city, they took right away hostages before Warsaw even fell.
Wait, let's explain to them. When Germany was invading, they were fighting with Warsaw, and before they conquered Warsaw, they conquered his town of Yedlinsk. So they took him hostage.
They took hostages. They took over 50 hostages, and I was involved in it. They took us between Warsaw, took it away, and they lay us down on the floor. In the whole night, the same day when they took us, it was in September, and they said, you have to say it. One Judah is only, every Jew is responsible for the next Jew.
So let me clarify.
The whole night, you have to say this.
Jack,
And that's exactly what happened.
what Jack is referring to is there was a town an hour outside of Yedlinsk, and when they took him hostage and 50 other men hostage, they made them all lay on the floor at gunpoint all night long, repeating one Jew is responsible for the other, because if Warsaw wasn't conquered, those 50 were being shot right then and there.
And if Warsaw's not going to fall, you're going to be killed. Warsaw fell, and they let us loose. We went back home. That's what happened.
On your way back home, did they just let you go home, or did they make you do some work?
Yes. Every day, the Germans started right away. Every 3 days, the synagogue was burned up. But
Burned their synagogue down.
helping with the Polish people, they burned up our synagogue. We got one synagogue in our city. And that's, after this, every day you have to stay 6:30 in the morning. 50 or 100 people have to go to work for the Germans. And that's what was going on for 4 weeks, 5 weeks. After the 5 weeks, they established a ghetto. A ghetto means they took, everybody has to have an armband with a Magen David on the left hand. And you couldn't go, they put wires around in what was maybe 6 houses or 20 houses. It's a depend which town, how many Jews they got. 4 families was living in a home. That's what they did.
So your house was already where the ghetto was established, and they pushed 4 more families into your house?
Yes.
Okay, and then they surrounded it with barbed wire and made you wear a blue and white armband.
Nobody can go out, a Jewish guy, if they went out from the ghetto, they would be killed. The only thing we went out is to go to work. And that's how life was going on in 1940 already, and they call it Judenrat. They made a name of it. That's what they
formed a group.
What means the Judenrat, that it was an organization, they put on 10 people, 15 people in the organization. They give them people to work. They did everything for the
So they
Germans.
asked other Jews.
They have to do it.
So they asked other Jews to make a group to point out which other Jews they should take to work.
Yes. Yeah.
And
And that's how the life was going on till the end of 40. The end of 40, they liquidate ghettos, small ghettos, around between Warsaw and Radom and everyone. They left big ghettos. Big ghettos they took out too. What they start doing when they liquidate our ghetto, they took, you have to stay outside And women with kids, they told them when they come to this, what do you want to do with the kid? You want to go on with the kid, or you want to give up the kid?
So let me clarify for them. They're liquidating the camp, and they're getting rid of everybody. They're getting rid of Jetelinsk ghetto, and they're asking the mothers with children, do you want to give us your child, or do you want to go with the child?
That's exactly what had happened. In the mothers, the Muslim went with the child. And when they killed the mother with the child, they didn't use even a bullet. They threw them in, they put on graves,
In a mass grave.
threw them in, massive grave, and threw them in, and put some, and we have to stay in budget. Before they liquidate the rest of the thing to take us to a camp, we have to stay in budget.
So you
what they
watch
did.
them buried alive.
That's how buried them alive and put them some over the little kids. These kids didn't even know that it is a wall that's still on the wall. That's what they did. In the mostly what they did, it was this time they killed probably 1 million or think between 3 months' time before they took them out. To the parents went to another camp, and young kids went to the camp. That's how life was going on. When they liquidated, we went into a camp, what it called Cushion Übungsplatz. We was working for the military, and we was over 1,600 people. And we was working with them every day, 7 o'clock in the morning till the evening, and it was Jewish mothers was making food for them, for the working people. Everything was done by Jewish people when we come home to eat a soup it was more water than soup, but that's how life was going on. And when they finished up, it was in 1941, when they finished up this camp, because they was afraid that the Russians was going to come in close. It was a war with Russian already. Hitler with Russian went in a war, and they was afraid, so they tried to liquidate some camps. When they, in 1941, in November, what they did to our camp, they took people out to be killed. And it was when I was standing in the line, it was 4 in the width, and the line was over, and I stayed in the front of the line. When they picked people up to be killed, they took another guy out in front of me. Later, they took my father out. When they took my father out, and I stayed close to it, when I saw and I said to the German, take me and leave this guy alone. And he picked me up by the collar, pulled me out, and he pushed back my father. And after this, he said to me, I should tell him how many people he's going to give it to me. He gave me, and he said, you have to tell me, you have to count. And I said something, 40 something. And later he gave more than 40, he gave over 50. And he took over 50 kids from us, put them on the line single. We walked. When they told us to walk over there, we walked, put it close. It was the forest not far away when they did it. And we come to the grave, told us to kneel down. When we kneel down, he's, the other officers from the SS asked him when we're going to start shooting. And he said, when I take my pistol out and I show you how to do, I'm going to do it. Then you're going to shoot. When he went after the pistol, me and the other guy
Wait, let's clarify.
get up and fight with him.
The other guy that you were talking about was
Chaim.
a friend of yours.
He was from my city.
And you said
Yeah.
to him,
Yeah.
let's try and fight for our lives.
Yeah. And when we was fighting with him,
When
it
you're
was
fighting with the
close
Nazi.
to the grave. The grave was over 10 feet long, in the width 8, the deep probably 6, between 5 and 6 feet deep. And we'd fight close to this, and all the three of us, with the German, fell in the grave. And I jumped over from the other side grave into the forest and ran away.
So wait, let's pause
I
right here.
was the luckiest person in life.
So the three of you were fighting with the Nazi who wanted to shoot you. And what was he telling the other Nazis who had guns? Because couldn't they have shot all three of you?
Yes.
So what was he screaming in German?
What?
He was telling them not to shoot?
There he was telling, when we fell in, he hollered, don't shoot. If they would shoot, they would kill all three of us right away. They didn't shoot.
So you
That's
were
what
lucky
I
that
could-
he said that.
That's what I could run away.
What happened to your friend?
My friend was killed.
So you
He
were
did, the next day, what they did the next day, from the 1,600 people, the next day, they killed pretty close, 600 or 700 people was killed the next day from this group. The rest of them, they took to another ghetto.
Jack, tell them how old you were when this happened.
16 years old. My father was killed. Even I took him out a day before, they took him out the next day, they killed him. My father was killed. It was a day over there in this forest. They killed over 600 people. The rest of them, they took out the bigger ghettos or the other camps.
Jack, before we go on to that, you were 16. I want to go back. You jump out of the grave. You run into the forest, and it's dawn. So you're lucky that they're
But,
they're covered.
yeah,
Tell us what you
when
saw.
yes, when I jumped out, I was a month time in the forest
By
for
yourself.
myself, and you have to sleep in the forest, and you have to go ahead and steal food by farmers. It was a hard job, and it come to me, you have to go back to another camp. Didn't have no choice. And I went back to another camp. I walked maybe 10 miles or 10 kilometers or something like that to another camp. I know where the camp was. And I come to the camp in the middle of the night, and I come in. I was afraid to go into the front door. I picked up the window, and I went inside in the camp. And later they start to holler, look, Jack Waxel is alive. The camps over there, because they knew a lot of people, but they told me they killed them mostly. All of them, your father was killed. That's what they told me. And we went into a place where we was, not just for pilots, loading our bombs against Russia.
And so let me
That's
ask
what
you,
we
Jack,
did.
what happened to your mother and sisters?
My mother and sister was taken into another ghetto, and they took it into Buchenwald or to the Dachau. That's what they did from the ghettos. Every time they took other people out and took them away to be finished up in ovens. And I never saw my mom anymore and not my sister since I was 16 years old, since I ran away from Koshini. And they liquidate after this camp I was for the Air Force. They took us into
Sola.
a place at this ammunition plant. And we was in this ammunition plant. After 42, they took us over there. On this camp, they didn't anymore shoot. They put us in on trucks, took us into this place over there to build ammunition, and we come in the middle of the night. When I come in the middle of the, we was probably a few hundred people, but they took them around and brought them over there.
So this is
And they was
Pianki.
laying us, they took us into a barrack. A barrack means they give us where to sleep or something. They brought us in, they put us in on the floor. Unfortunately, I don't know what had happened. In the middle of the night, some Ukrainians was already in this camp. The Ukrainians come and they work with the Germans. They was like Nazis.
Ukrainians.
Or worse, some of them was worse than the SS, the Ukrainians. And somebody, I picked up my hat and look who it's walking. And he took his gun and hit me on one side of my head. My head the next morning was swollen up. I was afraid they're going to kill me the rest of it, but they didn't. And it took me a long time till I be able to see on one of my eyes. I couldn't see for a long time, but it come back to me, and I was working in the ammunition plant, unload coal. They have to have coal to the production
For the
should
factories.
work. Without coal, they couldn't. And that's what I did. Since 42, over 2 years, 244, every time in our Jewish holidays, they took out people to kill him.
So they were demonstrating
All the time
on Jewish holidays.
at the Jewish holidays. And she was not my wife, was my girl. And her name was Sabina. Her mother was with her in this camp. They took her out maybe before the liquidation, 6-7 months. They took over 200 people out and brought back to the camp the clothes. When the people, what they took him to be killed, they brought back the clothes and give it to in Pyeonggi to the people if somebody wants to wear it. It was every time, every holiday, we know it, some people are going to be killed.
So they just wanted to show that on Jewish holidays,
they
that's a
wanted
day
to
of death.
They wanted to show those God doesn't even care for you. That's the meaning, what everybody had got. That's our life in every day, and it was work in the ammunition plant. It was kitchens, not just before in the kitchen was when we come home to be asleep, you have to get a soup or something. In the morning was what they call it, they have coffee or something. It was 6 o'clock in the morning, and that's how life was going on in Pyeonggi. 2:44, it was rumors that they're going to liquidate Pyeonggi because the Russians was not far away. And when they had rumors, and it come to me, and I said, I'm not going to go to Auschwitz. If somebody, I would care to be killed.
So you already
here
heard
than
about
to
Auschwitz.
Because we know already what Auschwitz was. Half was going to the ovens, and half was going to stay still alive or something. That's how it was. The elderly people would go right away to the ovens. That's what they did. When they brought the people in with the train to Auschwitz, they took right or left. And that's how they liquidate people. And I made a decision that I'm going to run away from the camp. And you have to be prepared for it and that. And somebody from and it was over there in our camp, was even Jewish police. The Germans put on Jewish police. And the commandeer come to me, the Jewish guy. I hear that you're going to run away. I said, I'm here. I'm not running away. So he said to me, don't even think about it, because if you run away, they're going to kill somebody else. And I said to him, they're killing anybody. What's the difference, I said. But that was no thing, and he went away. The next morning, I took 15 people. I cut the wires. I took them out. And it was right away after the railroad. They shot on us.
Wait,
I lost right away.
I want to
one
stop
person.
you, Jack. How did you get the wire cutters?
The wire cutter I got from a Pole.
From a
He
Polish
was
man.
Polish.
He didn't know what it was for.
He was working with me at the place. And I asked him one time, would you do me a favor? I need a cutter. And I said, I need a cutter because some barracks, we need to do something.
And he believed you.
And he brought in a cutter because the Polish people used to come in to work in the ammunition plant. They worked, this ammunition plant was by the Polish, for the Polish people.
in
And
their
they
community.
took it over and they ran it.
Jack,
And we did it bullets to be for the Germans.
how did you know when to escape?
Huh?
How did you know when to escape? You took the 15 people, but it's guarded by guards. How did you know when to cut the wires?
How did I know? Because I made a decision, and I told the rest of them to come with me. I worked to unload coal, and I took them up, and they was hiding till we went away. It was early in the morning when we went to work. We went to some place, and they went with me, and they was hiding for the military think that you got people that they went, two guys,
The guards.
two soldiers going every timing. We
There were
saw them
shifts,
going on
shifts.
in the other side. They watched, and when they went away, I cut it. We went over, and that's where we
So
went.
you times between the shift change.
Even we was in the forest, Polish people called when we went steal food. It was not an easy job to go steal food. And the Polacks, they called Germans. And
Jack,
from the 15, 6 people survived.
So from the
And
50
my
yeah.
brother was killed 1 month before the oblation of 5 weeks. That's the Muslim. And it was a problem. If I want to tell you something, when I lost my brother, I wouldn't want to live. I went in a barn by a Polish guy, and he got a dog. The dog didn't even bark. He barked when I walked in, and that's all. And I went up to the farmer on the top of his barn, and I was afraid sometime he took straw off that he's gonna catch me or something. But I was laying 4 or 5 days. I couldn't even get up. Finally, it come to me, I have to go out to me. Went out middle of the night. I was afraid for the dog that's gonna bite, and the farmer's gonna come out.
So
It didn't happen, it didn't bark, and that's what.
So, Jack, I just want to clarify that part of the story. You helped 15 people escape. Immediately, when you first tried to escape, they killed 1 person immediately.
Immediately.
And then, so that was already down
And then-
14 people.
Yeah.
And then eventually, they kept on sabotaging you. The Polish people collaborated and told the Germans where you were and kept
Yes.
on ambushing you.
Yeah.
And then when they caught you and your brother, what did he tell you when he was shot?
I told him, yes.
He got shot when
Yeah.
the Nazis
He
found
got-
you,
he
and
got-
what did he
got
tell
killed.
you?
He got killed.
And he told you to keep running.
In the I don't know how did I come out alive. I ran like a crazy thing, and then you never knew or somebody is going to come after you. Because the Poles all the time, if they knew where you are, they sent in the Germans. That's how life was going on. Even in the forest, they could help a lot of people. They didn't. Unfortunately, that's how the Poles went after the Jews. And going back, when I was liberated,
Yeah, tell us about when you were liberated.
I went in. It was my father's house. And I went in, and they knew me.
So you're talking about the Polish people who
The
took
Polish
over your old
people.
house that you used
Yeah,
to live in.
they knew me.
Those were your neighbors.
Yes. And I come to her. I didn't even ask for the house.
You weren't asking for the house back. You were just asking, what would you
I
ask them?
asked, give me the pictures, what we left.
Of your family.
If in yes. And mostly from my mom. And she said to me, the Germans took it. And I said, why would you? I was already mad this time. I was liberated. I said, why are you saying a lie? The Germans never come into your house.
So she wouldn't even give
And
you your family
and
photos.
I didn't have no choice. I walked out. She said to me, if you don't want to be killed, you're going to stay here, they're going to kill you. So we have to leave. In the beginning, when I survived, I couldn't stay in my city. I have to go with the Russians in the German side occupation to be with the Russians together.
So to the DP, displaced persons camp, because you
So-
couldn't
so-
even stay in
to-
Poland anymore. They were threatening to kill the remaining Jews.
To live, to be able to live. The war was still not over because they went in to take in the German side, inside Germany. When the Germans finally was over,
When the war
was
was
a
over.
lot of Holocaust survivors, which my Sabina, she was in the same camp with her grandma. And I didn't know it when it was. When there was over 700 girls from the camp, what the Germans did, to put them in the kettle, closed up, and left them on the railroad. It was 1 week before the liberation. They wanted to kill him, to take him to some other places where they can burn him up. They left him stay at the railroad, and the Americans come in. They bombed. The mostly kids got killed.
On the
A
trainer.
few of them got lucky, like her grandma, like Sabina. That's another one. The few, I knew all of them because I worked with the mostly of them before they took him to Auschwitz, into Bergen-Belsen, into Bomlitz. And they went away when the Russians come in. They was in Bomlitz.
Well, let me ask you something. When you said you saw Sabina earlier in the camp, how come she wasn't one of the people you helped escape into the forest? Why didn't Sabina go with you to escape?
She got curly hair. She
Curly
said to
brown
me,
hair.
I got curly hair. I was afraid I'm going to be killed the first day.
What's wrong with curly hair?
And I said, you're never going to go out in the forest. No. But it happened. She said, I don't want it. And I never said to her, oh, Kim, don't do this. I said, give her a kiss.
Jack,
When I ran away, I give her a kiss. And I said, hope we're going to see each other.
Jack, I think they understand, but just in case, clarify, why couldn't people with curly hair be seen? What was wrong with curly hair?
Because they knew Jewish kids got curly hair.
So
That's why.
she said she looked too Jewish.
You're right. Yeah. Yes. And when I was with the Russians, in a Polish guy, but he knows me from my city, that you know who is alive? Sabina is alive. That was in April, pretty close to April. She come home to the city of Yedlinsk. And he know that I'm here at this. He said to me, Sabina, and I said, you're such a liar. He said to me, and he picks his hand up, swear to God. And I give up, and I said to a Russian officer, I have to go back. She was something for me that I have to see her. And I went back and I saw her. I took her out from Yedlinsk and we went to the occupation of Germany.
Ravensburg.
We couldn't stay in Yedlinsk because we would be killed. They killed, after the war, 1,600 people by the Poles. If you don't know, the Poles did that. That's what happened. And it was unbelievable to describe that the Jewish people would like to establish who was born in Poland. They come back to Poland. They come back to their ground, what they used to live and everything else. And they lived with the Poles before. They knew him. It was like poison to them. They did money no matter what. After the war, they kill you. They kill Russians and they kill Jews after the war.
So you went to Ravensburg, DP, and what did you marry her?
I went to Germany and met my lovely wife. And I got married in Germany in 1945, the end of 40, pretty close. And we got married, and I got 3 lovely kids. Not right away. I got one. I'll tell you a story.
Where did you move to afterwards? How did you get to America?
That's what I'm going to tell. I'll tell you a story, but yes. It was happened that my wife got pregnant in Germany. But the was maybe 7 months in this. And I said to my wife, I don't like it, my son or my daughter should be born on the German ground. What do you think we should do? Let's go to Paris. After the war, we could take the train and go to Paris. And that's what I did. My son was born, the first son was born in Paris.
And what happened to that first son? Your first son,
My first son?
Samuel, tell us about what happened to him.
My first son was unbelievable, nice,
Yeah.
and everything. But my son is a scientist. And my youngest son is a scientist. They are from cancer research. When I come and I said, and he was listed and made special pills, going back a few years, that's a big company bought it out. And it was special what they did. When I come to speak to some American people and tell them, and I said, why is it that you hate Jewish people? Look what the Jewish people did for the world. Going back to polio, going back to this, we just a small percentage of the world. We got 18,000, maybe between 16 and 18,000 people from us. That's what we got. And they don't have, if not for Israel going back, what I'm going to bring out for Israel is one thing that the Jews should understand something. It is hard to be in wars. Israel people from 1948 fighting to be alive. They give him a state, and they don't want to even not to be the Arabs went after the Israelis and fight and never stop fighting. And the American Jewish people should understand something. No matter what, if we're not going to stay for Israel, we're not going to survive. Israel is not just fighting for them. Israel is fighting for the Jewish people in the whole world. That's what you should understand something in life. And we have to stay no matter what. You can criticize everything you think. What Israel does, it's a war. It's or you are not there. Or if you're not going to fight, they're going to kill you or not.
Jack, let me ask you something. When you got to America, you went to Dayton, Ohio. When did you start telling your Holocaust survival story? And what did people say?
In my life, when I survive in this, when I come, it was in the
55?
United States in 1950. I come November 1950 to the United States. When I come, the Jewish leadership didn't even want to hear what I got to say. The leadership from the UJA or from the other, or the highest, or everybody, it was poison for them to hear. The American Jews didn't even care. They didn't hold you for really that you are normal or something. I don't know what was the problem for them, but that's what I got. And that's what some other from my people come to me. He said, they don't want even to know.
How'd you convince them to listen to you?
They give us a name when we come, Greener.
They called all the survivors who were coming to America,
Yes.
they called them Greenas.
Absolutely.
And they didn't want to hear their stories. And I'm asking Jack, how did you get the Jewish community who is already in America to start listening to your story?
And that's what we tried to bring you out. I went and I went into them and I showed them that we're going to do a lot of things. We're going to start. I brought in three synagogues in Dayton, Ohio. I brought all the rabbis first. And I said to them, we're going to make a date. But Israel come out the date right away to say Yiske or something
Memorial.
for the people. We said the Reform rabbi said to me one word. If you want to do something, don't let it the rabbis should do it. Do it. The Reform.
He said, don't wait around for the rabbis, just do it.
Yes, and that's how I started. And I brought in I brought in the mayor from the city. And I did something, and everybody did it, and everybody come to listen to me. I went to schools to 7th graders and talked to them. It was in the 60s when I come to talk to them.
Let me just say something about the 60s. Even in the 70s, if you look back at history books, they weren't talking about the Holocaust in the 70s. So this was before they're even talking about it. And he's going into schools and children. And what did the parents say when you wanted to tell the children the story?
Yes. It is unbelievable. Why it bothers me so much that 6 million, and my parents and my brother and my mother was killed. And I said to the leadership that you don't understand what meaning we took away our mom and our dad and this. Something is wrong with you people. You have to bring you something back up to understand. We have to give him something. We don't have to let the world know that they are privileged to kill them, and it's so quiet. That's what I said to them in the beginning when I come to the United States. That's what my thing was about it. And I think in my life that I survived just for this, and I never stopped.
Just to tell everyone.
Not going down to schools to talk to schools, and that's what happened.
So I wanna say, in learning, and we're gonna give you a standing ovation in a second, but I just want to say, and before we go into questions, that one of the big lessons I get from Jack is not to be silent. When we have Jack tell his story, we're not just trying to bring up and hopefully get everybody's empathy up, but we're also hoping to inspire them to fight for yourself and to stand up for everybody. And even if people don't want to hear what's going on in Israel, you still tell them what's going on, because it's important not to keep these things inside and to really share with the community so that everyone can work together to stop hatred for no reason, just killing people.
It's important to know that Israel fights a war, not like all the countries what they're fighting wars going back, even the Americans. Nobody sends leaflets before they going to bomb. Yes,
they're warning.
it's one Israel. What does it?
He's saying it's a moral
In
army that
phone
they're letting
calls
people
and
know.
everything else. And they still say Israel is a murder. He's killing people. No, they are killing people. They did the war. It was in October the 7th. When I survived in October the 7th, I got up the 8th of October, and I said, what? Another Holocaust? I couldn't believe it. Killing so many people, 1,200, and some people, murder little kids, rape. They learn from the Nazis. They are Nazis. That's what they're doing.
So
They never stop it. The whole world tell Israel you cannot do this. The whole world's against the Jews. And it doesn't look like if we're not going to stand up, that they're going to be quiet. If you stand up against them, this time they're going to be quiet. You cannot be silent. Not to listen what somebody tells you stories, and you should know what I'm telling you, and you should never forget it. You should, our grandkids, or to talk to you kids, and tell them what do you hear from a person, what he was in it. And he did everything in life to stay alive.
let me ask you before I ask everybody who has a question that they can raise their hand and ask you. Tell us how many children, great-grandchildren, grandchildren and great-grandchildren you
I
have.
got three children. They're both doctors, both scientists. My daughter is in the antique business. And I got 7 grandchildren. They got children, and I got 10 great-grandchildren. My kids knows everything. My wife told my kids when they grow up to understand, she told them everything what she went through in her life. They know everything from mom, from me. They cooperate with me. They went in Ohio, where I live. They speak to the other kids and everything else. That's what I'm proud of my kids, that they are, and they are understanding, and that's what they're doing.
Can I ask, are there any questions that you'd like to ask Jack? Yes.
Thank you so much, Jack. This is my second time hearing your story, and I'm very honored.
Yeah, just put it close.
Oh,
Just put it close to your son.
Jack, thank you for being here.
I'll
That's
repeat
fine.
if it's.
I'm curious about before the war, before the ghetto was formed. You and your siblings were growing up in Poland, and as things were starting with the anti-Semitism, I'm just curious if you could give us an idea of what the community was like. Everyone's going along with their lives, or were Jewish and non-Jewish people starting to think and talk about What was going on?
Were people before Germany invaded Poland, were people in your town in Yetalinks worried about the anti-Semitism, or they
Ye-
thought it would be okay?
It in my city before we stand up for anti-Semitism. I fought back. I was in the 5th grade when the Germans come in and you couldn't go anymore to school. And I always fought back. In our city, if you stand up for your, at least this time in Yedlinsk, it was a feeling that they knocked out the windows in the synagogue. They did a lot of things, and it was a problem. But you have to live with it. You stand up against it, and that's how it was going on. The whole time, it was always fighting. They brought up places where people got stores, Jewish stores. They stay in with signs that you cannot go. The Polish people staying outside with signs, don't go into Jewish to buy. It was the mostly Jewish stores in Poland. It was not too many Gentile stores. It was not too many doctors. It was just Jewish doctors. And that, even the anti-Semitism was so big in the Jews, they couldn't go in with the name of a Jew. Then he changed the name to be accepted in medical school. You couldn't go to university. The kids, even that's all the time you have to change the name and be. And the Jews knew how to do, how cooperated. The parents knew how to do it with the kids to send them to university. That's how life was going on. And you have to, you already was with us to fight, and that's what we did. And that's how life was going on in Poland. With the young people, we was playing soccer together with the Polish kids and everything. But besides this, they were so against you because the parents were so anti-Semitic. It's not to understand that the problem was not just with the Poles. The Catholics got against the Jews. That's the Jewish, the death to Jesus and death. It was a lot of problems with the Catholic Church against the Jewish people. And that was the most worst problem what the Pope was in the wartime. He was so anti-Semitic. He works with the German government. That's what the problem was. When he would say one word, leave the Jews alone, Catholics followed the leader. The mostly Catholics in Poland, that's what the hateness was coming around from the Catholic Church.
He asked if today the anti-Semitism is like it was then, or is it growing? What do you think of it today?
The anti-Semitism, if you don't see it, it grows. It is unbelievable. Since 1950 to now, it's day-night. That's what the problem is. And the problem is with the leadership from our communities. The leaders are too quiet. They don't even come out in a lot of things. what happened, you can see what happened in Israel in October, that the women of the world never condemned. They never come out to condemn. The Jewish, not just Jewish women, the other woman, where was they? Never did come out against it.
So you're
Never.
saying they would say that it was terrible to rape in others, but they weren't saying for
Yes.
Jewish women when they were raped, they were silent, he's saying.
Yeah,
So the feminists groups.
yeah.
Any other questions? Yes.
So, first, I just want to thank you. I've listened to many documentaries about the Holocaust. You've given me something today, and I assume other people here too, which is a gift of planting something inside me. I feel what's happened to the Jewish people, what happened to you, your family, real for me in this moment. Before it was on TV, it was in a movie theater, it was in a book. Now it feels real.
He says how much he appreciates you telling your story because it feels so real. He really understands you.
Yeah.
And my question, first it's thank you. My question is, how do you feel about the Polish people? Do you feel any differently now than you did 70 years ago about the Polish people?
Has your ideas about Polish people changed?
The Polish people, the leadership from the Polish government now is to bring back people. They should come back to Poland. They should see that the Polish is better than it was. The Poles will never. They got in their blood against the Jewish people. I live with the Polish people. I know what they are. Even I was young, and I went after the war. Even now they wanted to do a lot of things. They didn't give back the Polish Jews. Not one house was given back that the government should give back. They took away all properties from the Jewish people. You can see, to take away somebody's property, and you talking about it, the NATO. They are the NATO and everything else. And they're supposed to follow the NATO. And they're supposed to follow the leadership in the United States. No, NATO tell them, you cannot take away somebody's property. Nobody told them. Nobody told them nothing. I couldn't get my house back. It's used. It is. They cannot wipe it out from the books. And thus, they never want to give you back nothing in the beginning. That's how it was. That's how the Poles are. And now they try to bring back the Jews should come back and be, they're going to give them, they want to even give them passports.
They're trying to bring Jewish descendants of Polish people to be citizens again. So they wanted to say it's good to have a citizenship in Poland. And so some people are considering it and wondering if it's good. That's what he's referring to. Yes.
How do you believe in God?
Religion. Your faith in God, has it been shaken?
It's a hard thing to say, I believe in God. I think we got a leader, we got God. I think that I was saved by God to go through a lot of things in my life. The only thing what I a little bit, I got stand up one time, and I asked God, why me? My father was so religious in life, in death, and he didn't survive. Never come back to an answer to me. I hope before I die, I'm going to have an answer.
Yes?
So many of us have, or maybe not most, maybe grandchildren, children who are either in high school or on college campuses. What advice would you give to our college-age kids who are maybe facing anti-Semitism? What advice would you give to them, and like how should they react to it? What should they be doing?
She's asking for the kids who are on college campuses, what would you tell the kids who are facing anti-Semitism, the Jewish kids on college campuses? How do you help them?
Yes,
What do you tell them?
I tell them to stand up and not to be quiet, because they have to stand no matter who they are. And some kids listen to me, and they're doing it. Yeah, and I'm proud of them. Yes. And that's the most important thing in life. If you stand up and you're in front of them, it's a much different thing in life.
What would you want them to say to these kids who are?
What I like to tell them that they should listen.
No, what would you
It's
want the kids to say? She's saying, how do they stand? How do you teach them to have courage? Should they say back?
Yeah, but to have a thing to sit down and talk to the other kids, and if you want to talk to me and listen to me, first, not to go ahead and say that you don't have nothing what to say to me. And if you got people like this, then you can never bring them back in your side. But some other kids, they are listening. A lot of kids are listening. The only trouble is that they don't let you go ahead, and if you go up and talk, they stay in front of you and don't let you even talk.
We're going to do the last question.
And that is the leadership in trouble with the university. They let them do it against Jewish people.
This is going to be the last question.
Well, my question is a series. I'll tell you what, I want to ask questions about his survival. Very, very interesting story about his survival. I have some questions before the war and a couple of questions after the war. Let me ask you this. Before the Second World War in Poland, how close was your city to the Russian border?
Okay. He wants to ask, and if there's a few more questions, maybe we'll do it after we finish up, because I know it's the timing. He just wants to know how far was your city, Yetalinsk, from the Russian border? How far were you from the Russian border?
From the Russian border, it is about 200 kilometers.
Okay. When you ran, did you run towards Russia or did you run away the other side? Which way did you run?
No, you went in I was in the Russian, pretty close to the Russian side.
Did you cross into the Russian border?
Huh?
Did you cross into Russia?
No, I wish I would, yes. No, it was from us. From my city was a couple, they went away, they ran into the Russian side, and believe it or not, after the war, and he survived, the Russian let him out, and he come to Yedlis, they killed him in Yedlis.
So which way did you run?
The Poles killed him.
He stayed in Poland.
So when you were working in the coal, you were providing coal, were you doing that work in Poland and digging up the coal? What were you doing to survive?
He asked about the coal, when they would bring the train loads of coal in that you had to work all day. Were you going outside of the camp or staying in the camp?
No, outside the camp.
And
It was not in camp. we was asleep.
And it was for the Germans.
It was when I went to the German, it was walking out from the camp. It was about 20 minutes walk.
One more question. Did the Hayas settle you in Ohio?
Did Hyas was the one who put you in Ohio?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to bring Rabbi Barras up to thank Jack. And just for his 100th birthday, because
Yep.
Jack is my superhero at
Yeah.
100, continuing to tell his story. So I made Jack a superhero for his birthday. And this is our Jack.
Yes.
When's his birthday?
It just passed.
September the 5th.
Jack smile.
Thank you all for coming. What
Yeah,
a- what
you
an
are my
amazing
great
story.
gift.
Have a wonderful day. Thank you all.
Thank you
Thank you so much for coming and listening to me
Thank you, Rabbi.
and to listen to Hagi.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Oh my God, what an honor.
She's my hero.
If you have any more
the city
questions
that
and want to
you're from.
ask him individually.
Yes.
My ancestry is from Poland also,
Yeah.
from Zembro.
Yeah.
Zembro, is that anywhere near where
Where?
you live? Zembro, Poland, which was near, they left in the 1880s.
890.
80s. But I'm from Chicago, and
Yeah.
I wanted you to know that when I was growing up in the 50s,
Yeah.
I was in elementary school.
Yeah.
We learned all about the Holocaust. We had
A lot of,
pictures.
yes.
Yes,
We did a lot.
yes.
Chicago, Indiana, we did a lot of.
But you said in Ohio, none of the Jewish
It was
organizations.
the Jewish leadership was so, not friendly with the.
Well,
They didn't want to even hear.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that because in my city we were very active in those groups in the Jewish.
I don't know. I know people from Chicago.
I'm from the
I
South.
was with Chicago.
I'm from the South Side, near the
Okay.
near the University of Chicago. So maybe it was a different type of.
It was a lot of difference
Yeah.
in some places.
Yes.
Jack, I just wanted to say hi.
Thank you.
Hi, I wanted to say hi. You were
Thank you.
wonderful at Kristallnacht and you were wonderful today.
Yes,
amazing,
I know.
Amazing,
Amazing.
My friends were very happy that they could come and listen.
Yes.
Amazing. Your story is
Yes.
incredible.
Yeah.
Jack, I wanted to say thank you for doing what you're doing, but I have a question because I hope to reach 100 one day. Okay?
Yeah.
And as good and clear and
Yeah.
brave as you.
Yes.
In your 100 years,
My-
are you
my brain-
disappointed in people?
yeah.
Are you disappointed on where the human race is today?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because what you went through, I feel like the
What I went
advancement
through,
of the world,
I got a lovely wife. She passed away. She was probably smarter than me.
I don't know.
And she said to me,
How long did she live?
huh?
How many years did she live?
We was with each other 68 years.
68 years. That's beautiful.
Yeah. When I grew up with her in one city, in the same city.
Daisy, let's take a
In my-
picture. Okay. We want to take a picture with this handsome man.
1, 2,
Hello. Yes.
and the hat.
Yeah.
You gotta love the hat.
Well, you
Yeah.
have lots of wisdom, so leave me with a little bit of wisdom. If you reach 68 years of marriage and you're 100 years, I want to reach 100 years.
Yeah.
What advice you have to me?
That is hard to give. That is
Do you
so hard.
eat well?
You-
Surround yourself with a...
If you got a lovely husband, and you got, and make the best life with your husband in life, and if you are happy in life, no matter what it is, it's always a problem, no matter what. Even the best, it's something.
You just
But
gotta keep
it can
fighting.
be worked out. It always can be said
Let
on
me
worked
tell
out.
you what's so important about her.
Yeah.
Biggie, thank you so much. Hey, what an honor. Thank you so much.
That's
I
all
hope
right.
to see you again soon.
Yes.
That's
So-
why you're the most important one. That's what I just said.
Ihr werdet Jiddisch?
Yeah.
Sie,
Yeah.
meine Mama und mein Manns Tate, die ganze